Hello and welcome to our channel, Cheating Exposed. Today, we're revealing another story. Hater for exposing my wife's cheating and not wanting to do anything with a child. That isn't mine. So, let's get started. Two weeks ago, I found out that my 5-year-old son isn't biologically mine. I felt utterly hurt and betrayed. My wife of 6 years, with whom I've been in a relationship for 9 years, had cheated on me and gotten pregnant by another man. Without informing her, I decided to take a paternity test. When the results confirmed my fears, I immediately confronted her. In my anger, I called her whore and many other names. She broke down crying and confessed that she hid the truth because she didn't want to ruin the happy family we had built together as a family of 3. I demanded to know why she cheated on me. She explained that during a particularly nasty argument years ago, she had a one-time fling with someone else. She claimed that since then, she had been loyal to me. She admitted she always had doubts about the child's paternity but never took a test. She said she chose to keep quiet because she didn't want to shatter my happiness or disrupt our family's peace. She pleaded with me to understand. She said she didn't go through with an abortion because she believed it was for the good of our family and felt that I was already a wonderful father. I told her I wanted a divorce and that I no longer wanted to be in our son's life. She cried and begged me not to break up our family. She kept repeating that I was still his father in every way that mattered, and I should not let DNA destroy our lives. Despite her pleas, I left. Initially, I decided not to tell anyone about her infidelity. However, the anger consumed me, and I eventually decided to share the truth. The news created a storm. Her parents were livid and decided to cut off all contact with her. My sister furiously called my soon-to-be ex-wife and lashed out at her. On the other hand, her siblings believed I was wrong to humiliate her publicly and insisted I should have kept the matter private. Yesterday, her sister called me and demanded I take her back and continue raising my son. I told her I no longer considered him my son. She grew angry and hurled insults at me, calling me a weak, pathetic man. She said it was no wonder my wife cheated on me and accused me of being insecure and spineless for secretly taking a paternity test. She blamed me for my wife's current loneliness and depression. Instead of engaging further, I ended the call and decided to contact her husband. I told him everything and advised him to take a paternity test himself, warning him not to trust their family. He apologized on his wife's behalf, and we ended the conversation on a civil note. Now, I am ignoring all calls from my wife and her sister. First update. To those asking if I'm okay, I'm not, but I'll survive. What really confused me was seeing some people call me a misogynist and say I deserve to be cheated on. Let me ask you this, if your husband came to you and admitted to having a child outside your marriage, wouldn't you curse at him? This isn't about gender, it's about betrayal. The only reason I decided to do the paternity test was because my sister pushed me to. She had been urging me multiple times, but I brushed it off because I never thought my wife would cheat on me, let alone get pregnant by someone else. My sister is my best friend and has always looked out for me. She told me to take the test because my son didn't look like me at all. I told her he just resembled his mom, but she kept insisting. I'm glad she did. She was heartbroken when she saw me crying and furious at my wife. I must have hugged her for hours as I cried. I truly loved my son, but every time I looked at him, he reminded me of my wife's betrayal, which only deepened my pain. After reading comments about how my son is also a victim in all of this, just like me, I decided not to cut him off completely. Doing so might leave him mentally scarred, and he doesn't deserve that. I called my wife, and she answered immediately. I told her I was coming over to meet my son. She cried and said she was glad I was coming. I asked if her bitch was still there. She said she was. I told her to make sure her sister didn't speak to me, or else I'd lose my temper. She promised her sister wouldn't interact with me. When my son saw me, he was so happy. He instantly hugged me and asked where I had been for so long. I picked him up and told him I had been working. We played together for an hour, and afterward, I gently explained that I would be away more often but would still visit him and stay in contact. He didn't like hearing that, so to cheer him up, I promised him a great surprise for his birthday in December. I have no idea what I'll do yet, but I'll figure something out. After my son went outside to play, my wife and I talked. She immediately latched onto me, hugged me, and broke down crying. She begged me not to give up on her or our son because of what she called a terrible mistake. She told me she had wanted to abort the pregnancy but didn't because she saw how happy I was. She insisted that she had been loyal to me ever since. I lost control of my emotions and grabbed my wife's arm, yelling at her about how she had destroyed both me and our son. I told her that when our son finds out the truth, he won't love her as much as he does now. I vented my frustration. I was there for you every single night, and yet a random man gets you pregnant from a single mistake. We both know I'm not infertile. I was fuming and told her I wanted to tell everyone the truth, her friends, their friends, the whole neighborhood, every family member, even those living in distant countries. I said I wanted the entire world to know what she had done, including every future partner she might ever have. She broke down crying and shaking. Seeing her like that, I stopped myself. I told her I wouldn't follow through, not because of her, but because it would hurt the innocent child in the process. I made it clear, don't misunderstand, this is for him, not for you. Through tears, she said I was the love of her life and that she couldn't live without me. She promised she would wait until I calmed down and would fight for our relationship no matter what. She insisted she wouldn't let our family fall apart because of her mistake. Desperately, she added that she would give me as many children as I wanted and even get paternity tests for all of them to prove her loyalty. She started kissing my face in desperation, pleading for forgiveness. I pushed her away and told her she was delusional. You're acting as if you scratched my car or broke a vase, I said. This isn't something trivial. This is betrayal of both your husband and your own child. I turned to her sister, who was there, and yelled at her to get my wife professional help because she seemed to be losing her grip on reality. Before her sister could respond, I left the house, determined to let my wife stew in her frustration and guilt. Later, I sent my wife a text, making it clear, I will visit you for my son's sake, but don't make things worse than they already are. Think about him and be a good mother. I'm now living with my sister, who has been an incredible support. She stays by my side and hugs me until I calm down, even when it takes hours. I've decided to start divorce proceedings. I understand that, as his father, it's unlikely I can escape child support, and even if I could, I feel a moral obligation to remain in my son's life. As for my wife and her sister, I'm done with them. Both of them have shown their true colors, and I want nothing to do with them. Final update. It's been a month since I found out my son isn't biologically mine. I've sought therapy, and through this journey, I've come to realize something important: I love my son deeply. Biology doesn't change that. I've always loved him and always will. In my anger, I said things to my wife that I didn't mean, but her betrayal cut deeply. As for my sister-in-law, she definitely deserved the words I directed at her. She called me weak and treated me terribly after I discovered the truth. After many therapy sessions, I decided it was better to try and make peace with everyone, especially for my son's sake. I even had a conversation with my SIL, and while we apologized to each other, we're far from friends. Still, we tolerate each other now, and that's enough. I've been visiting my home every few days. My wife, SIL, and son still live there. I'm enduring this situation because of my son. He's young, and I don't know how to tell him the truth yet. Whenever I visit, my wife hugs me, and I've stopped resisting. Pushing her away never worked, so now I just let her vent. She always apologizes, says she's sorry, and insists she wants me back. I've made it clear, repeatedly, that I'm only there for our son. Thankfully, she doesn't say much in front of him, sparing him the tension. 3 days ago, during one of my visits, I told my wife, in my son's absence, that I've hired a lawyer to proceed with the divorce. Her reaction was immediate. She freaked out, begging me not to break our family apart. She insisted that, even though my son doesn't share my DNA, he's still my son, and we could make our marriage work. She promised to give me as many children as I wanted and pleaded for another chance. I let her vent but left without engaging further. Since then, her family has been calling me non-stop, pressuring me to forgive her. They claim she'll be a good wife if I give her another chance and that I should be a good husband in return. When I refused, they issued a chilling warning I might lose the ability to see my son. That threat shook me to my core. I love my son, and he loves me. I've been the only father he's ever known. But what if they flip the situation? What if I'm not allowed to see him? It's not about me anymore, it's about my son's mental health. I fear they're weaponizing his well-being against me, and the thought terrifies me. I don't want him caught in the crossfire of this mess. Well, folks, that's all. Thank you all for listening. Please like, comment, and share the video if you enjoyed it. Also, subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon so you will be notified when we upload the next video. Take care.